Hello, welcome to No Time to Diet.
Yes.
And it is our first episode.
It's super exciting that we're doing this.
It is. I hope you're as excited as we are. You might not be. We are very excited.
But we are. Yeah.
We're very excited.
Ridiculously excited.
We should probably say who we are. Because no one's met us before.
No.
Okay, so I'm Maggie.
And I'm Helen.
And we together run Spark Life. Our Instagram and Facebook handle are sparklife_UK. And it is a hub for health and happiness.
It is little ways of finding health and happiness. That's what we're all about.
And it's also a safe space from diet culture.
Mm-hmm.
We in the studio take a non-diet approach and a non-weight biased approach, by which that means that we work with our mainly women, but also some men, on health and fitness and confidence and self-esteem, all without ever mentioning anything as crazy as weight loss.
Yes.
I mean, who could possibly run a fitness industry, run a fitness facility without mentioning weight loss? It's impossible, right? But amazingly, we do it. We do it.
Yay.
And there's a good reason for that, which is that we believe that the evidence that is present for a non-weight based approach, and actually taking a health first, health at every size approach, is actually far stronger now than any evidence that we have that associating weight and health actually is a good thing physically or mentally in the long term. But more so, even if you put evidence aside, and this is what really this podcast is about, is it's really about the fact that when we have these kind of medical arguments, when we medicalise our happiness and our healthy states, and I know that seems a strange thing to talk about, like when we medicalise it, well, is it not just medical? But it's not, because it's about you as a whole person.
Yeah, about the physical and the mental well-being as well as the
and if we
body.
Exactly, and if we simply just talk about the body in isolation of absolutely everything else, then we miss people's emotional journeys. We miss their experiences that really impacts their lives far more than the speed of their heart beating.
And I think as well we close ourselves off to people, those women who, or those people living in bigger bodies who would not go to a studio or a fitness facility because they are too big or too whatever these labels that society puts on us. So by breaking down those barriers, we are more welcoming and more understanding as a facility than lots of these other big commercial places that are just about your outward appearance, the aesthetics.
And that actually sums up perfectly what we're doing with this. Is we want to talk about those experiences, because it's not about what you should or shouldn't be doing, and we get given a lot of rules and expectations on what health and fitness looks like, but then you get a lot of people, and we'd call them outliers, I suppose, but they're not, because I feel like they're the majority of people I meet, who don't feel comfortable or safe going to a gym, and partly because when they go to that gym, the first thing that they're told is you need to lose weight.
And there's that judgment that because you are bigger, you aren't already active, or you have no idea what you're doing.
Yes, absolutely. And no one is willing to have a discussion where that experience of that person is listened to, because instantly, well, it's bad for your health, well, medical science tells us, well, BMI is all just shoved back in your face. And so that's the only thing that's important in this conversation. So we're not saying that your health doesn't matter. What we're saying is your health is not always your individual personal responsibility, but it's definitely not a responsibility to others. And we want to break down that barrier that seems to exist, or would like to break down the barrier that seems to exist between the people that are having these experiences and the people that are telling them that they need to get healthy. And actually, if this group of people over here could understand what it felt like to be in this group over here, we might actually start to create an industry that's far more welcoming for everybody, rather than one that's simply welcoming for someone who's happy to be body shamed or to fall into rules and restrictions and a really sad life.
Yeah, and there's that brilliant cartoon about the poodles and the poodle culture, in that the people, and you chip in if I get this a bit wrong here, so the people that are like the fitness professionals are all poodles, and say that everybody else has got to be a poodle and has got to fit this poodle model, not thinking that some of us are whippets or lurchers or greyhounds. I'm just going down the hound route here.
Yes, you love hounds.
I love hounds. We both love hounds.
Japanese Spitz,
yeah.
Bichon Frises,
Yes,
bulldogs,
or
staffies.
What's the big fluffy Burmese mountain dogs?
Bernese mountain dog, Bernedoodles.
Bernedoodle. Oh, we love Bernedoodles. Anyway, so yeah, that understanding that there isn't that one shape, one size fits all, and that we can be in a bigger body and still be as healthy as we possibly can, for us, possibly healthier than restricting what we eat.
I completely and utterly agree, but also to recognise that you don't owe your health to anybody, and that health is something that's always thrown at us. Oh wow, what about health? Or what about being healthy? Well, actually, if that's not something that's a priority for you right now, or that's not something that is easy for you right now, then not to be worrying about the fact that it should be. Does that make sense?
Yeah, definitely, yeah. It's like you need to be focusing on healing or overcoming difficulties with your movement, rather than thinking, oh my God, I shouldn't have had 3 biscuits at lunch, which were amazing biscuits.
Yeah, absolutely. But also this idea as well that we can have an individual impact on our health, and sometimes that's just impossible. Sometimes life circumstances don't lead to that, and that's not just genetically or physically, but also in terms of economically, lifestyle, or your living experience. You know, not everybody has access to the same things, and everybody's experience needs to be taken into account and listened to if we're going to actually make people feel mentally and physically better in themselves.
Yeah, and for us, certainly at the studio, that mental and physical fitness is so intertwined, because so much of what we do with our clients is about building the confidence and the self-esteem, working on the self-love, the self-care, as alongside the physical work that we do.
Yeah.
But that, for me personally, that mental health bit is so key to it, and the diet culture can be so detrimental to that, so harmful.
Yeah, very much so. I think you've captured it perfectly there. That's a key word in this course, isn't it? We've mentioned it a couple of times. Diet culture.
Yeah.
And
what is diet culture?
What is diet culture? What is diet culture? Well, you probably come across it if you're listening or watching this. But I would say it's the diet culture is very invasive. I mean, it enters our world without
terrorism.
Body terrorism. It's everywhere without us sometimes even knowing where it is. But it's present in the conversations you have with friends and family about calories, or the latest diet you're on, or when you're eating, or whether you should be fasting, or you'd love to go to that particular event but you can't because you've nothing to wear, or that dress you'd love to get into in your wardrobe, and it's just these little things that very sneakily, subtly, that's a good word, subtly dropped in, but they start to really invade our consciousness. And then as a result of that, that's the language you start using with yourself when you look at yourself in the mirror and you're mean to yourself, or you think, oh, I can't do that because I don't look X, Y, or Z, and so it really impacts the way you live your life, and it's full of rules that are completely illogical most of the time. I read a really good meme, and I wish I could remember where it was because I would then make a link to them. I read a really good meme on the Instagram earlier on today, and it was something about diet culture. Well, it was Maryland's dietitians, that's who it was, and it was diet culture says avoid these sugar replacements, they're bad for you. Diet culture also says eat this really amazing low sugar sugar-free or whatever it is, low-calorie ice cream, because you can eat the whole pot instead. And it's like literally the two things, they're right, that diet culture says, that are completely opposing ideals to each other. No wonder we're so confused. And they leave us reeling with these negative thoughts, with this poor body image and low self-esteem, and unfortunately it's really hard to escape, because the people we go to for support and help, such as doctors, physios, fitness professionals, in that kind of space, a lot of them, not all, but a lot of them are also in diet culture.
Definitely,
not their own doing, but they
It's
live in
just
this
because
too.
It's like the air we breathe, isn't it?
Exactly.
It's almost like, I was thinking of this morning, like a little snowflake that's come down, and then it gathers another one and gathers another one, and before you know it, it's this huge snowball that kind of then takes over your life, because it is all encompassing and smothers you, and you are so in diet culture that it just feels the norm, and it's not until you start breaking free from it that it's like, gosh, it's everywhere. It's in most magazine pages, it's in the adverts that come through on your phone, it's all those airbrushed images on Instagram that you don't really recognise are. Even there was something, I think it could have been a BBC drama, that it was just kind of dropped in there as though it was the most normal thing, you know, women being tiny and not taking up space, and it's like, and until you realise it, you are so entrenched in it that it's just,
I mean, you talk about television, it's even in the characters that you see presented as their personalities that they are on television. And what you're used to seeing as a body size on television, and what's deemed therefore as acceptable and not acceptable. And I think that it's a really difficult thing to navigate, and it can be very damaging. You know, a lot of the ladies we speak to, and us ourselves, have struggled with disordered eating, have struggled with obsessive fitness habits, and have had physical and mental symptoms as a result of that. So I think opening out that conversation, and with real people, so we're not talking to, because there's lots of podcasts you can go to for this where the professionals will talk to you from a professional perspective, dietitians who are all within this HAES realm. There's loads of people, which is fantastic.
HAES meaning health at every size.
Health at every size, thank you. And they're all within that realm. But what we want to do is, this podcast will eventually become an anthology of personal experiences.
Real stories by real people. I think it is interesting, just making a point here, that there was a programme about Beyonce the other day that I mentioned to you about, and a lot of women look up to Beyonce and think, oh, I'd really like to be like her because she is this amazing strong character, plus she is drop dead gorgeous. And it was interesting that the song If I Were a Boy was written because her and a friend were out for lunch, and a friend really wanted pizza but couldn't because of the calories, and she thought, if I were a boy then I could have had that. And I think from someone like Beyonce mentioning that is an interesting kind of conversation starter as well.
Yeah, definitely. And that just goes to show sort of how pervasive this is, right? That we look at someone who's very successful, who looks like she has it all, looks like she's got it all together, and is equally struggling with this kind of thing. I think it's a good example of how we are all within this.
Yeah, definitely.
And I think the hardest point quite often is when you're kind of like, you know, the matrix is there. So you've seen diet culture, you know it's there. But then what do you do? Because now you've no longer got the rules. You know what the rules are, but you can't escape them. And there's the fear that's been built into you that, well, if I stop doing X, Y, and Z, I'll gain weight, and that becomes a scary feeling. And it shouldn't, because it shouldn't be something that's scary for your body shape and size to change during the course of your life, but conditioned because of diet culture, we are fearful of that. And then it becomes a very difficult space to navigate. And so one thing we hope from this is that if that's you, if you're listening to this and you're like, oh God, I've seen it, I know the matrix is there, but I don't know what to do about that now, that maybe hearing some of these stories will help you to know that there is a way out of it, that it's perfectly normal to feel a bit anxious and caught up in sort of like turmoil of whether you want to escape it or not.
It's so fearful that you've got these rules that, even though you recognise that the rules and they don't make sense, it's that suddenly not having the rules and the, oh my God, what do I do? And like, can I really eat cheese?
Can I really eat breakfast?
The
answer is yes.
Just eat what you want. Enjoy it. Enjoy the food. Food is good.
So we're going to share those stories with you. And as we said, there will be stories from real people, and we're not really going to go down the route of the evidence and the research. We'll give you statistics when we feel it's useful and when it ties into something. But we would like you to know who is out there that you can follow that does do that, and also that might give you more support should you listen to this and feel that you need to go somewhere else for help and support with what you're going through currently.
And you can always contact us as well if you feel that you like us.
Yes, absolutely. We're wonderful.
We are queens.
I like that word. So let's start with us. So you can find us, I said at the beginning, but I repeat it because it's always useful to get this information. You can find us on our socials, that's Facebook and Instagram. We're not on Twitter, sorry, but we don't understand Twitter.
No. And we don't understand TikTok, that's men with sellotape round their heads.
I love TikTok too much that I had to come off it because I spent hours in TikTok. So I had to delete that app. Honestly,
I was just stuck on the man with the sellotape round his head.
I mean, that's fun.
Anyway,
So
please don't wrap sellotape round your head, by the way.
They probably shouldn't.
No.
Anyway,
our Facebook and Instagram is sparklife_UK, and you can always drop us a DM from those as well if you want to.
We love DMs.
We love DMs, yeah. And also our website, www.sparklifeuk.com. That's us, yes. I had to think that. And also some people that we recommend you follow as well.
So Laura Thomas, who is the London Centre for Intuitive Eating, and also you might recognise her name from her amazing book Just Eat It. Christy Harrison, who is an American dietitian and has a podcast, which I think she's on hiatus still at the moment from because she's writing a book currently, but she has so many back episodes on that podcast. It's well worth listening to. I should say as well, Laura Thomas also has a podcast called Don't Stop My Game, which is awesome.
Lovely Joshua Woolridge. We love Joshua Woolridge.
If you're listening, Josh,
we love you. And one of my personal favourites, there is an amazing lady called Sonia Renee Taylor who wrote an amazing book called The Body Is Not an Apology. She's also got a great workbook to go alongside it, Your Body Is Not an Apology. She's all about radical self-love. She is absolutely amazing. She makes me cry when I read her stuff. And her socials are The Body Is Not an Apology, and they are amazing people that we think you would find useful.
And we'll share more along the way because there's loads more. And we will share more along the way. So for now, we'll say goodbye.
Bye.
And
thank you for listening.
Yeah. Stop. Don't leave there though. Don't just disappear.
No, because we have more exciting episodes coming up.
You need to do any likes that you can do on the platform you're on.
And share us.
And share. Yeah. That's really important.
Definitely.
And then go and play the next episode.
Bye.